Thank you again for joining us and welcome today. My name is Tara Palmieri and I'm responsible for Oracle for ensuring that our North America customers are delighted with their first journey to the cloud by leveraging a partner. And I'm excited to welcome you to all to today's session where we're going to discuss a leading edge innovative solution leveraged by supply chain and manufacturing customers, which is ready to use, easy to implement, and pay as you go. We will have 3 experts lined up for today's 45-minute session. If we go to the next slide, we'll talk about the agenda they'll lead us through. So Rick Detwiller is the Senior Director for Oracle's Portfolio Solutions in Manufacturing, and he's going to begin today's session with some highlights in the manufacturing industry, including trends and new opportunities. From there, we're thrilled to have Pratt, VP of Manufacturing at BetaShim. He's going to share the customer perspective on their success and experience with a supply chain visualization solution that's live and working today. Last but not least, we'll hear from Suneratech, an Oracle Platinum partner with a massive portfolio of manufacturing Oracle customers. Ravi Reddy, President and CEO, will make the case for modern connected manufacturing and the benefits of supply chain real-time visibility today. Well, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, and if we go to the agenda, we'll recap those topics as you'll see, but we'll leverage the webinar technology today during our discussion as well, so let's just do some quick housekeeping. I'd like to ask everyone to please raise your hands just so we can make sure you can hear me okay and hear our presenters today before we jump in and get too far along. Great. Now, you can also raise questions in the webinar chat, and we'll answer those in the session and post them with the presentation replay as well. And please make sure you take some time to answer the polls as they pop up. That's really going to allow our presenters today to customize their discussions to your needs and your organizations. Well, with that, let's get started with the manufacturing industry overview. Rick, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara. Could I get slide 3, please? Thanks. Thank you for participating in today's event. My role at Oracle is to lead manufacturing industries, which within my context is automotive, aerospace and defense, industrial manufacturing, and high technology. Today, we're going to discuss solutions from Suneratech with BetaShim. And there are a number of opportunities that can be realized in today's modern supply chain. Today, we'll focus on benefits realized by integration of back-end systems commonly found in manufacturing organizations. We'll focus on process improvement, specifically fulfillment. BetaShim and Suneratech have worked together to realize these benefits by delivering a modern cloud-based solution, leveraging components in the Oracle Cloud. What you'll see today replaces what is commonly a manual process, possibly supported by multiple lines of businesses. The eSeal solution directly improves customer promise dates, as well as other aspects of the fulfillment process. What we're discussing are some of the many benefits from enabling back-end system integration across manufacturing applications. Next slide, please. Pressures on the manufacturing industry, for example, product launch. Time to market is not just production efficiencies, it's also marketing and financial efficiencies. Managing supply chain cost. Supply chain as a process has increased many-fold over the last couple of decades. Where there were a few systems, now there are many. Insight through integration is key to managing supply chain cost. Increased supply chain complexity directly reflect the increase of global operations. The last item is actually fulfillment agility. Customer expectations are continually changing. Drop shipping, multi-geo distribution of products, reduction of logistics costs, and the accurate promise dates are just a few concerns. Next slide. This slide represents the digitization of products, how the network changes the industry, and how this change of mindset has influenced the direction of many organizations. Smart products. Smart products, think of that as remotely updatable or software as a service type, like cell phones, edge device connectors, manufacturing plant updates for machinery. This leads into product as a service where leasing or managing assets remotely might be a concern. And then supply chain execution. Application spend, like it says, will be cloud-based by 2020. My experience recently has been that, a lot of manufacturers are looking for that on-ramp, that path to the cloud. And today, I think we have a very exciting example. Next slide. These are typical benefits for manufacturing businesses when innovation is embraced. Innovation is often not easy to achieve, and organizations frequently have little to no budget dedicated to innovation. However, when innovation is delivered as a new capability, then the statistics illustrated here are quite real. With these thoughts in mind, I'd like to introduce Zach Pratt. He's VP of Manufacturing at BetaShim. Thank you for joining us today, Zach.
Thank you very much, Rick. As just stated, I am the Vice President of a small manufacturing company in Connecticut. We are a major supplier to Sikorsky aircraft, which is now owned by Lockheed Martin. We have roughly about 100 customers that are active per fiscal year. 9% of that is our repeat customers with repeat orders, and we have well over 10,000 unique customer engineered products. Currently, Sikorsky aircraft, Lockheed Martin, is roughly 70% of our yearly revenue. So they are an extremely important customer to us. The other 30% of our revenue does somehow stream off of other aerospace and government orders. So basically the problem that we were having was we were getting way too many phone calls, emails, on-site visits from expeditors and managers. Those expeditors and managers all needed answers from 7 o'clock in the morning until about 9 o'clock when they had their first meeting. The managers would then report to their directors would then report to their programs. And they needed to have as accurate information as possible for their build schedules. So the biggest questions that we were always asked of are, A, do you have stock or running inventory? The other questions are, if you don't have stock, do you have any work or any parts that are in process? What's left to be done on those parts? And when can I have those parts in-house? So this led to too much time spent on collecting updates via spreadsheets. So it ended up also being extremely redundant, where the same expediter might call or email one expediter here or another person here at BetaShim for information, and then they might also talk to somebody else about the same part, also at BetaShim, and get different information. So there was a lot of redundancy. There was a lot of inaccurate dates from multiple people going to multiple expediters, and this was taking up more and more time. We started referring this to our customer wanting charts more than parts. They wanted to see where the parts were, when they were going to get them. They wanted to see organizational charts based on recovery plans, when they were going to get those parts. And so to do this, we were going to have to end up hiring more people to just fill in charts. So even hiring one expediter, even at $15 per hour, 40 hours per week, 52 weeks per year, you really only talk about base salary somewhere around $30,000. But then you add in their benefits, you talk around $60,000. You add in somebody to manage all of them, and by the time we were all said and done, we were looking at roughly $90,000 per $1 million in realized revenue. And that's just for our count. That's for just our cost for hiring people. That's not including our customers' cost. So what we really wanted to do is we wanted to be able to come up with a live dashboard and be able to show where stock, running inventory, WIP, and when those problem states were going to be, not just for us internally, but for our customers as well. So a lot of the things we had to take into consideration for all this is that we have an older MRP system. We have a 20-year-old legacy program that doesn't have the capabilities of running live data out onto a website or to a web portal to our customer. We also want to be able to upgrade our MRPs very shortly. And so if we were going to come up with some kind of an overlay type software where it would be able to do a tracking type system, a live dashboard online, we'd need to work with our older MRP system and would also have to work with a newer MRP system that we would be upgrading to. And it had to be extremely stable, regardless of what that MRP software that we were going to end up using. Not only that, but I had to be able to do a read-only, pulling data from the MRP. We couldn't have it manipulating our MRP system. And above all else, we couldn't do this ourselves. Our core competency is manufacturing parts and providing a service to our customer. So this is not something we could do. We tried to do this about 10 years ago with freeware software, and it just was not scalable. It ended up failing miserably, and it ended up becoming more of a problem for our customers and for ourselves. 90% of our capacity is spent on production for our employees. 10% of our capacity is spent on continuous improvements. So we really need to outsource this entire project. When Oracle called us and said, hey, listen, we'd like to get you involved in more of our products, we had a few products that we were buying through Oracle, but they really wanted to get us more on board. And I honestly felt like we were such a small company. We're only a $15 million company a year. So I really thought that Oracle was just way too big of a player out there for a small company like ourselves. But instead, they were able to put us in touch with another partner of theirs, Suneratech. So this was a great meetup for us both. In introducing us to Suneratech and their product line, we had talked to other people before about building us a database system, an overlay type situation for our MRP system, and it didn't seem like any of them actually understood what they wanted, what we wanted as an end result. And when Suneratech came, and I met with Srini for the first time, he actually understood what I was talking about and what the end result was supposed to be. And the only way I can really relay that or put that into an analogy is kind of like a fine suit. I can go to any store and buy a suit off the rack, but it's not going to fit me well, or it might hang a little bit weird. And where if I go and have a suit that's custom built for me, it will improve, the fit, comfort level, and hopefully the longevity of that suit. And that's exactly what Suneratech was for us. They understood what our needs were, and they didn't try and crowbar our needs into their existing program. Instead, they took our needs and they changed around and redesigned some products that they already had and made it customized just to us. And on top of which, this is a company that's not based in Connecticut, and they were on site whenever we need them to. Next slide, please. The biggest problem that we have here, as far as our whole success story, is that quality and price is a given in the manufacturing world, especially when it comes to aerospace. Delivery and service really is the name of the game. That's the only place where you can really shine and make a name for yourself. So with Sikorsky, which is owned by Lockheed Martin, a lot of their product is broken up into government, military, and also into commercial. And so when they are trying to plan their production schedules out, they are looking at an end result. And they're looking at a helicopter. When can a helicopter be delivered to their customer? And then their schedules have to work backwards from that in their planning. So that backwards scheduling puts us at a severe disadvantage. We are already late by the time they've given us the order. And then from there on out, they're getting yelled at by their customers, which are usually generals and admirals with government ratings, and they need to know where their real-time production flow is. That being said, their expediters were constantly calling us, constantly looking for parts, and we were actually, even though we were trying our best and trying to give us the best accurate answers, we weren't. But when we started implementing Beta Tracker a year ago, or over a year ago, which is E-Seal by Suneratech, it actually has allowed their expediters to go up and pull data anytime they want. They are seeing real-time progress through our system, not just being able to see their part number or how many pieces we're making, but they're actually to see what stages it's in. And they can sit there and figure out, okay, if it's really at this stage, I should have my part by next week, which then allows the expediter to go back to the managers, which allows them to go back to production, which allows them to go back to those generals and to those admirals and to the customer and say, this is when you're going to have your helicopter. So it also allowed us to have spend more time on other continuous improvement projects that we have in mind. We didn't have to sit there and answer all these emails and all these questions and all these phone calls. The on-site visits have been reduced tremendously. In fact, now the only time we have on-site is because we're being shown as an example to other suppliers of what should be done. So the whole benefit to this is that Beta Tracker by eSeal, which is backed by an Oracle Cloud service, is extremely expandable. And it's allowing us real-time feedback and showing real-time views of our inventory, which has actually resulted in increased sales, because when they see that we have that inventory in-house and it's live, they are actually trying to pull in schedules. So no longer are we pushing out the schedules for their products. They're now pulling in those schedules, seeing what we have available and where it is. On top of that, for us, it's allowed us to have a capacity level loading. It's also increased our relationships with Sikorsky. We're actually, right now, we have people down at a Sikorsky Supplier conference. And from what I'm hearing from my guys down there, they're having a great time, and the Sikorsky and Lockheed are giving us extremely good feedback. It's increased our time and our productivity, and we are realizing a large savings by not having to spend our time with expediting and working on things that are not profit-driven and moving more towards profit-driven projects. And then this is all just for us as a supplier right now. The idea is for the future state is to have this for all suppliers of Sikorsky aircraft and Lockheed Martin, which should realize a large saving for the customer as well. And I think with that, I'm turning this over to Ravi.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Ravi Reddy, CEO of Suneratech. Well, I'm going to spend a few minutes around, what Suneratech is and what this exact solution, eSeal, and how easy it is to deploy. And so, as a company, we're about 14 years old, about 800 employees globally, with over 200 active customers at any given point in time that we serve. Over the last 6 years, this solution has been in production. It's called Electronic Seal, which is eSeal on Oracle Cloud. It's a pay-as-you-go solution. It's easy, ready to use, and easy to deploy. And as a company, our focus has always been in simplifying innovation, wherein understand the line of business challenges, eliminate the need to understand technology, especially as the technology today, the solution is a lot more matured because of the technologies such as cloud, mobile, IoT, big data, blockchain. And this solution uses all of those, but you would never feel or have to have an experience to understand all of that to really use the solution. So what Zach mentioned about the solution is inherently uses all these technologies, but not a single day he had to worry about these technologies. While we were more focused around, driving the business benefits. That's what we do as a company. Is we built a lot of innovative solutions that enable line of businesses to solve their day-to-day problems easily. As you can see, let's get into the specifics. We've been talking to over 100 plus customers in supply chain and manufacturing. If you go to next slide, Srini, we've categorized the challenges that we've seen in three major buckets. One set of challenges we're seeing is folks who are actually suppliers. Their challenge is to give the OEMs and the manufacturers real-time visibility, but also have real-time visibility of their work in progress. This will enable, because OEMs have different mandates to ensure that their production is never stopped. And this solution has also been used by a lot of manufacturers to get a real-time supply visibility in the plant by correlating the man, material, and machine on a real-time basis. A plant manager is able to see where the part is or where the product is, and is able to on a real-time basis. So you're able to get an actionable intelligence where you don't have to do post-mortem after the fact. So you can intervene into your plant operations on a real-time basis to ensure. So you'll see some of the dashboards that enable you to make those decisions. So some of the challenges that have been addressed from a production point of view, missing the targets in terms of because of the stoppages, because of wrong parts, significant rework. We'll also touch upon how the solution enables you to also get your quality control aspect on a real-time basis, view of your quality process as well. From a post-production point of view, the same solution also addresses live warehouse. So you can actually now see on a real-time basis your parts in a warehouse and eliminate all the manual process that requires you to actually go find the part in the warehouse. So we automate all of the warehouse as well. So if you look at all the 7 nodes that we call in a supply chain, supplier side, where how do you handle raw material to all of it in the plant operations, post-plant operations, how do you stock the product in the warehouse, and tracking the product throughout the distribution process. So today we're going to talk about the first 4 aspects of it, but just for folks who would be interested in looking at saying, okay, how do I track my product all the way to my customer, and actually post-customer support as you want to track the products coming back into warranty, post-warranty claims, and so on. Now, so let's look at, I'll have Sudhir, if you can spend a few minutes on how the solution works, the internals of the solution, give some overview around that. That'll be great. Next.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. My name is Sudhir, and my role at Suneratech has been to implement supply chain solutions for various clients. We've been tracking about 278 million products as of now across 115 production lines, about close to 300 warehouses, and we support more than 1,200 dispatches a day. And in fact, we keep adding 3 million products a day in terms of our tracking. So ECL is essentially a ready-to-use platform that works on top of your ERP. Whatever ERP you're using, as in BetaShim case, they had a very particular ERP that was meant for their business. So ECL works on top of the ERP. And ECL transforms your traditional supply chain into a very integrated and live supply chain ecosystem. As Ravi mentioned, we not only cover suppliers, production, and warehouses, we also extend the solution to channel partners, field sales, and service partners. Now let's look at what is there in the solution. Basically, there are 4 components in the solution. The first one is we essentially assign a unique asset ID for each and every component that is tracked in the supply chain. Now it could be a small component, or it could be a finished good, it could be a packaging, or it could be a pallet, or it could be a transport truck, or a storage bin in your warehouse. The software assigns unique asset IDs and then provides the software in order to track them and trace them. We also integrate certain hardware in terms of automated identification, auto-identification and data capture equipment. And also in certain cases where required, we bring in IoTs to measure the environment, and we connect these to your production lines and warehouse systems. So the first component of the solution is an asset ID. The second component of the solution is hardware in terms of AEDs and IoTs. And then comes the software that resides on handheld devices used by your field staff. The software essentially automates the process of the inwarding, the dispatches, and the receipts and of the goods. Therefore, it eliminates the mistakes in counting or identifying goods. That also leads to, in a lot of situations that we work with, reduced working capital as well. Then the fourth component of the solution is a portal Srini, if you could go to the next slide. The fourth component of it is a portal where you would get a lot of rich analytics for the executives who are actually able to see the action in live. As Jack mentioned, you not only will be able to see your production in live, but you could extend this to your OEMs. Or if you're an OEM, you could do it for your production and also get a visibility of your supplier production status as well. The illustration here kind of shows about the today's production status, which could be filtered by date range, by category of the products, by the plant, and as well as by the actual SKU ID. You could get a plan versus actual status in real time. You could get a QC status in real time, where you don't need to wait for the day to be over to actually get data. A lot of our customers take real-time action when they're seeing such data coming in. And it also shows the dispatch status in terms of how much has been, moving on from the production plant to your central warehouses and from there to your regional warehouses. The next slide, please. Yeah. So as Jack mentioned, in the case of BetaShim, this is an active jobs report that he had extended this to the OEM Sikorsky to find out the status of real-time status of a particular part at any point of time that belonged to any job, and that had a lot of other parameters to search upon as well. You could also find out the inventory status across your warehouses, and you could filter that again by date range, by SKU, by category, and by the plant as well. You could get the aging analysis of inventory as well in real time. And there are a whole lot of other widgets that you could actually take down and then you could customize them for your need. So if you're an OEM and you have suppliers, you could encourage your suppliers to use this so that you can get a complete visibility of your the status of your suppliers, so that the load on your expediting would reduce. If you're a supplier yourself and your OEM is coming at you in terms of getting information frequently, as Jack pointed out, you could actually use this and then give them a status update through exposing the real-time status of the products or the jobs that you would want them to look at. So that's in a short in terms of what actually goes into this system and what you would kind of benefit. Just to summarize, there are 5 things that you would get from the supply chain system. One is visibility in terms of real time across your supply chain. Second is traceability, where you could go back in time and find out, trace it back into which machine, which person, which quality in charge, which shift, etc. So the entire product genealogy, you could trace it back. The third is optimization of your or increasing the efficiency through automation of all the activities that are otherwise human dependent, like if you take a warehouse, the receipts, the put away, the picking up, and the dispatching, all of that would be automated with this solution. So therefore, there's room for lesser errors, and then there is a greater efficiency that's brought in. The fourth one is analytics. As you see, this is just a glimpse of what is possible. There are a lot more analytics that we could configure as per the business needs. And the fifth one is a greater collaboration between your supply chain partners. It could be your suppliers, it could be your logistics providers, it could be your third-party warehouse providers, or it could be your service partners who are servicing your finished goods. So there's a greater collaboration with this solution, wherein you are able to bring real-time information available to all your partners in the supply chain. So that's a brief summary of what the solution does. And over to you, Ravi.
Yeah, thanks, Sudhir. So why don't we do this? Let's do a quick poll, just to kind of give us an understanding of the kind of challenges you face. Srini, if you can, will you be able to run a quick poll on, how many of the audiences And what's your experience around, what kind of issues you're facing? If you could take it's a 3-second poll. Very nice. All right. All right. So that says about 50% of the folks experience issues around supplier side, and over 60. Yeah, the rest of the folks are saying manufacturing and warehouse. All right. You want to go to the next one, Srini? Right. Are you planning to address the supply chain visibility challenges in your future? Interestingly, no one yet has said no. Right, there's one. All right. So about 70% of the folks have said yes or maybe in future, and 30% have said not applicable. Interesting. Good. So let's look at, so if you do have any questions, I think at this point in time, we'll take some questions. At the end of this session, I'll personally send out an email with the presentations and any questions, right? And as part of the, if you do want this to be piloted to one of your products or one plant, you could pilot that, as I mentioned earlier. It's a pay-as-you-go, ready to use, consumption-based. So there's absolutely no technology know-how required to implement this. So there's no dependency on, one would say, IT. It could be implemented ready to use. So if you're wondering if you need to have an IT or a technology know-how, absolutely not. So it's something that we do a pilot project first to take a small product in the manufacturing of the supplier and then show you the value before you kind of take a decision on implementing it across. So that's generally how things happen. So if you want to request for a demo or a pilot, please go to eseal.io and send in your request, and I'll have my team take it up in the order of priority. All right, with that, and you can also send an email to present to, if you were to see some of the business cases and you were trying to create an internal business case, we can send you some samples of how to create the business case. And please feel free to send an email at eseal@suneratech.com. With that, I'll open it up for questions for next few minutes. And we are all here to answer any questions you may have on the subject. Srini, do we have it unmuted?
There are some questions on the chat window.
Go ahead. Why don't you go one by one? Zach, you have a question. How many employees at BetaShim, and are you a repetitive manufacturing or a job shop?
Currently, we have roughly around 65 employees, and we are a job shop. We are extremely engineering and quality heavy. Like I said before, we are really committed to our customer, and again, as a job shop, people should understand that the customers are looking for multiple different part numbers, and most of our lead times are somewhere around a 2 to 3 week lead time when capacities are level. When your capacities aren't level and they're all over the place, we can start backing up to 4 to 5 weeks, which generates a lot of phone calls. So this, our version, Beta Tracker, which is eSeal, really helped out with a lot of those phone calls. It puts a lot of managers and expediters, our customers, at ease, knowing that their parts are being actively worked on. And with the customizations that we made to our Beta Tracker, it allows our customers to see pretty much every single question they could ever ask about that part.
Nice. Again, another question for you, Zach. How do you run MRP? If so, how often? 1, 2, or 3 times a day? Do you run projects or just make to order via sales orders?
Right. So generally, I mean, we run MRP generally once a day. Obviously, there are special occasions and emergencies that happen, but our production schedules are really based on make to order. Most of the orders we get are done electronically now. We hardly see any paper trails. A lot of them are PDFs or emails directly from the customer to us. As far as whether do we run projects or are we sales orders, a little bit of everything. Mostly sales orders. We're a make to order type facility. We do have long-term agreements that we have with major customers where we have to keep minimums of parts at all times over a 5 to 10 year period. So therefore, we are constantly having to monitor those as like a min-max type bin fulfillment situation. As far as projects go, we also are getting heavily into small assemblies, both with avionics, which is electronics within aviation, and so that can get pretty scary. So yeah, it is major. It is there are some projects, but most of the stuff is make to order.
Nice. All right. So next question. All right, I'll take the compliments, Fernando. Thank you for complimenting on good presentation. We'll take that. All right. Next question, I think, is for Sudhir. Can you elaborate on the traceability functions of the solution? Is it backward and or forward traceability?
Yeah, it is a bidirectional traceability functionality that we support. It includes both backward and forward, which means you could trace a component all the way to which distributor, which retailer, and which customer and which product, as well as you could trace it back from a service partner, which has been returned all the way to a component level. So it does support both the forward and backward traceability.
All right. Extension to that question, Sudhir, you mentioned customizations. What types and how many? I think this was specific to BetaShim implementation. So you may want to extend, Sudhir.
Yeah. So the two levels of customization. We support variety of industries, be it consumer packaged goods, food industry, automotive industry, aerospace industry, as we saw, warehousing industry in few cases, as well as in a government excise kind of use case as well. So we do have inbuilt custom modules that fit into various industry types. That's at one level of customization we offer. And secondly, each business differs from other in terms of the reports and analytics that they would like to see. Their KPIs are different, the way they would like to track are different. So we sit down with each business and provide adequate flexibility in terms of customizing the reports and the portal for the specific needs.
Right. Zach, I think Steve has extended his questions. Do you have blanket orders as well? And can he take this discussion offline in future if he needs to talk to you?
Sure. First of all, I will give him my email. I'm slightly hard of hearing, which is why I generally don't like to talk on the phone. But yeah, I will definitely give him my email. He can contact me. As far as blanket orders go, yes, we do have blanket orders. So those LTAs, which cover 5 to 10 years, and they can span anywhere from 10 different part numbers to 1,000 different part numbers, which can get kind of hectic.
All right, great. Thanks, Zach, for doing that. Sudhir, you have 2 questions. How about the hardware requirements? Are you using RFID? And in continuation to that, you mentioned blockchain. How is that utilized, and is it a private network?
Sure. A solution supports a simple QR code-based ID all the way to RFID, near-field communication, as well as an active IoT. And according to the requirements of the particular use case, we support the hardware. If it's an RFID, we'll be using the antennas. If it's a QR code based, we would be using inline scanners and handheld scanners. And if it is IoT, we would use the required hardware for that. And both hardware and software are provided by us, and they are married to each other and supported by us. Coming to blockchain is essentially used. It's a private ledger that we use, and it's essentially used for collaboration and bringing up the suppliers, the logistics providers, the distributors, the service partners, all of them onto a single page of truth, so that they get the information in real time as it happens.
Fantastic. Zach, one last question, and I think we are on the time. So what type of ongoing maintenance is required with this solution?
Well, as far as from BetaShim side of things, none at all. All maintenance is done by Suneratech and Oracle, and I will get an email from both. Let me know if there is some kind of maintenance schedule going on. The only other things that happen are every so often I'll see something that my customer would like to see addressed from looking at our site. And again, it's a simple email to Suneratech, and usually within a couple of hours, I've got the solution in place. So no real maintenance on my side.
Fantastic. So there's one last question. We use Oracle supply chain application. Do we need to replace what we have? How does this work?
It works on top of ERP, including the supply chain solution of Oracle. Again, this is a traceability and a visibility solution that works on top of a standard supply chain application. In fact, we have standard off-the-shelf integrations available for Oracle SCM, so that the whole project can be accelerated and completed within 60 days.
That's an important point. So
Great.
You mentioned, so here it's within 60 days, one can go live with the solution. Yep. All right, folks. That's it. We are running out of time. Do email if you have any additional questions or clarifications required to eseal@suneratech.com. I would like to thank all the panelists and all the folks who have attended the call. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day.